right. Let's talk about texture and dynamics for a minute. I've got an A harmonica today. These are topics that I think are under discussed. So I thought I would just take a minute and give my 2 cents on what texture and dynamics means and how you can become a better player by integrating those topics into your playing. Again, I got an A harmonica. It's a crossover today. So first, let's just define what that means. What does it mean when you're talking about texture? To me, texture it's the layers that you use to create different tonalities, I suppose, and different sounds on your harmonica. And the way I think about creating texture is taking one single idea, and the simpler the idea musically, the more effective the layer of textures become. So that's kind of the idea behind it. So texture, let me show you an example of, again, this is just my take on what that means. There's my note. I have an A harp if you're jumping in. So there's just a tiny example of these notes. The same note, one at a time it was clean, then it was vibrato, then it was blended with the hole next to it to make a dirty note. Wah versus no wah. These are ways you can add these layers of texture, to your playing. And if you're not thinking about it, it's also really kind of an approach to improvisation. It can be one of the angles that you focus on. I think what happens is most people are improvising and they're always thinking ahead. They're always thinking ahead. They're playing something, but they're trying to determine where am I headed? What am I going to play next? When what they should be doing is focusing on what they're playing right in that moment, which will lead them to what they want to play next. So texture is one of those ways because it centers you when you play. And I'm playing with a lot of things, syncopation. I'm changing things up a tiny bit, but in essence, I'm on the same spot. Texture can happen on a note. It can be the layers you bring into a small riff or a phrase. Play it as simply as you can. First, find a riff like this: 6 blow, 5 blow, 4 draw, and then kind of taking the 3 draw half step, going into it from like a blue note, and then 2 draw. So you take an idea and you play it as simply as you can. You play it clean, like single notes. Again, A harmonica. And you're just attacking it, getting the timing. Play that a couple times. Now let's just add some hand wah. You have to decide, do you want to use the hand wah on every single note? Or do you want to just choose certain notes? So hand wah is one way to add a layer of texture to the phrase. You could have decided to vibrato one note. That was 2 notes. Like the last note. You could have decided to add octaves, which would be a great way to add another coloring and texture to this phrase. Whoa. So I would choose the first 2 notes, 6 blow and 5 blow, and replace them often with 3 6 blow, 2 5 blow. So instead of, you get. If you don't think that's adding a layer of texture, I don't know what is. And that's what's so cool, is that in the world of harp, when I'm playing, I'm always thinking of substitutions for notes. And what I mean is, how can I substitute a single note and make it sound bigger and better? And one of the ways I can do that is with substituting octaves in for the single notes. Let's talk about dynamics. Dynamics is possibly the most under-discussed topic, especially in the world of blues harmonica, which is kind of weird because I feel like it's so important and it's so effective on a wind instrument, on any instrument. Dynamics is important. What is dynamics in your playing? It's the ability to be aware and utilize the spectrum of quiet to loud in your playing. The question you have to answer and what you have to determine is, are you aware of and can you find the sweet spot for how low is the lowest you want to ever play, pretty much, and what is the loudest you're ever going to play? Why do you need to predetermine that? If not, you might push past the sweet spot of volume. And good morning, how you doing, Eric? And you might have crappy tone because you're overplaying, you're too loud. Here's an example. Look at that, the harp jammed. Perfect. So it shows you that the instrument can only withstand or take so much. That's the risk you run by overplaying. The harp jams up, it goes pitchy. So here's my loudest dynamic range without getting into any trouble. I'm going to build to it. That's about as loud as I'm ever going to play. And it's not very hard as far as my breath. And then quiet. You don't want it to be so quiet that you can't be heard, right? So there's the range of your tonal and dynamic range. And once you're aware of it, start utilizing it. One of the most common spots to become aware of this would be the end of a phrase and just bringing your volume down as the phrase ends. Because you're resolving something. So when you're resolving it, you build tension and then you release the tension, it relaxes. When is it appropriate to bring that range way up? When you're building your solo and you get to the climax of the solo and you're really, hitting it, right? That's right in the middle. The phrase ends and you just let the volume kind of relax and drop. So let me talk about when it's dynamic range can happen within the phrases themselves, as I was just showing you. So you could be in the middle even. It's cool to have a real soft, quiet note, a swell that's louder, and then come real soft. You got to experiment and practice that or it doesn't come out in your playing. So just try playing like one big note, like a sixth blow, and then bringing your volume down for 3 or 4 notes. Another louder note. There's the louder note. So if you're not experimenting with your breath being the volume control, and you're just playing at the same feel and pace every time, get into this. Dynamics is like everything. It forces people to listen. to what you're saying. If you had a conversation with a guy and it was monotone and it was just everything coming at you at one volume and one sort of tone, you can't focus that long. I mean, you lose interest. You might be going like this, but you're not really listening. But if the guy's, it's like the guy that's like, I don't want to imitate it, but you get the point. If it's real monotone and just somebody's talking at you like a robot, but if there's a guy that's like, dude, you're not going to believe what happened. Dude, the other day I was at this club and all of a sudden he's got your attention because he brought his voice down. You're like, what's so secretive? What the hell is this guy going to say? No different. So you start the conversation off. Maybe you just go. And this girl came up to me. She was like, hey, man. You want to talk to me? The whole conversation is going to be, he's telling his story. It's going to be, changing and becoming a little bit louder. And then eventually she punched me in the face. When you get to the point of the climax of the story or whatever, you're killing it. So tell a story with your harp, add texture, be dynamic. You can do these things easily and you can practice them. Repeating a phrase at different volumes and adding those layers of textures. Yeah, all right. I'm headed up to wine country, actually, Eric. I think I'm going there in July. I'm supposed to be up there. And I was considering putting on a very small group workshop, but I didn't really follow through with it. So message me at harmonica123 if you want to carry that conversation on and talk about that. I'm going to play you out. Messed up my harp. When I was demonstrating that really loud note, hey, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I jacked up that 4 draw. There's another reason not to overplay. You're going to mess your harps up. Raise your eyebrows for emphasis. Sure. All right. I can't help. My eyebrows move, man. I got big eyebrows, so they're moving all the time, whether I want them to or not. You guys have a great day. I got a busy one. If you're in St. Louis, come see me this Thursday at Blues City Deli and Friday at BB's Jazz Soup and Blues. Jazz Soups and Blues. Jazz, Blues, and Soups. God damn, that name always messes me up. On Friday. That's this week. I'll be with the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band, an awesome band. So if you're in and around St. Louis, come on out. Hope to see you at the next event somewhere soon. I'm going to be posting a lot more because there's some cool stuff coming up. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Hey, thank you.